My ex-boss stole my app idea and fired me. So I built a better version, sued him into bankruptcy, and made $3.2 million while he lost everything. This story has been years in the making. I've told parts of it to friends, family, and my therapist, but now that everything's settled legally, I want to share it with the internet in full. Because damn, it feels good to finally be able to say this. Screw you, Ethan. I won. Let me set the stage. I was 25, a junior dev at a trendy VC-backed startup in Los Angeles. Let's call the company Bright Spark. On the surface, Bright Spark was a dream. Hip office space, stocked snack bar, monthly wellness days, and lots of talk about changing the world. In reality, it was chaos, bad leadership, crunch culture, unpaid overtime, and the kind of place that used buzzwords like disruption while laying people off on Slack. Still, I was young, eager, and trying to build a name for myself. I was fresh out of a coding boot camp and barely making enough to pay rent on a one-bedroom I shared with 2 roommates, but I liked the work, especially on slow weeks when I had breathing room. Now, here's the thing. I had an idea. As someone who grew up bilingual in a multilingual neighborhood, I always thought slang and regional dialects were fascinating and massively underrepresented in language apps. So I started working on a side project. An app that taught users how to understand and use real-world informal language, slang, idioms, cultural references, using gamified lessons and an AI-based conversation bot. Think, Duolingo meets ChatGPT, but for slang, street talk, and regional expressions. I called it LingoLurk at first. It was rough, just a prototype, but it worked, and I was proud. I stupidly shared this with my manager, Ethan. Ethan was in his early 30s, wore Allbirds, had a man bun, and called himself a serial entrepreneur despite never launching anything himself. He acted chill, but had that manipulative, fake nice energy. I showed him a demo one day during lunch thinking he'd be impressed. He was, but not in the way I expected. He asked me a lot of questions, too many. Is the codebase portable? Do you own the domain? Who else have you shown this to? Red flags in hindsight, but I was naive. A week later, I get called into a meeting with Ethan and the CEO. They say they love the idea and want me to donate it to Brightspark. Their reasoning, because I'd mentioned it during work hours, it was technically company property. They offered me a $5,000 bonus. Now, I may have been broke, but I wasn't stupid. I declined. Politely at first, I told them I built the app on my own time, with my own resources, and even had commits to GitHub from before I joined the company. I hadn't used company time, data, or tools. They didn't like that. 2 weeks later, boom, I was fired. No warning, no probation, no explanation beyond performance issues, despite having 0 complaints prior. My access was cut, my emails locked, and I was escorted out of the office like a criminal. My last paycheck was late. My final performance review, completely fabricated. I was angry. But more than that, I was motivated. Phase 1. Go dark and build. I went underground. I cut off social media, moved back in with my cousin temporarily. I spent the next 7 months living frugally. Ramen, black coffee, and code. I changed the app name to Street Savvy, redesigned the UI, added better AI, integrated community-submitted slang, and gamified everything. I launched it quietly on the App Store and Android in early 2020. And it exploded. TikTok creators used it in viral trends. ESL teachers found it useful. Hip-hop fans loved it. Even older folks started using it to understand their kids. I got featured on Product Hunt, then in Wired. Downloads surged past 2 million in under a year. Phase 2. Watch them burn. Then I saw it. Brightspark announced a revolutionary new app called Lingo Buddy. Their promo video? A carbon copy of my original pitch. Even the damn tagline was the same, but their version? Buggy, slow, glitchy. Users hated it. 1-star reviews rolled in. I waited. Then I struck. I hired a lawyer, an absolute beast, and we compiled everything, timestamps of my original commits, the email where I pitched it to Ethan, the offer documents, even Slack screenshots. My lawyer sent a cease and desist and hit them with a lawsuit for intellectual property theft, wrongful termination, retaliation, attempted fraud. Their investors got cold feet. Lawsuits are poison in the VC world. The CEO tried to blame Ethan. Ethan tried to play dumb. The app was pulled from stores within a week. 6 months later, we settled, $1.8 million in damages. No admission of guilt, of course, but I had what I wanted. And I wasn't done. Phase 3. Victory Lap. After the settlement, I sold Street Savvy to an ed tech firm for $3.2 million. I stayed on for a year as a consultant, then left. I bought my mom a house, paid off my student loans, donated to local youth programs that teach coding, got a dog, started therapy. And Ethan? Last I checked, he's trying to run a growth hacking podcast that averages 40 listeners a month. His LinkedIn shows he's a consultant. A friend from the industry told me he got blacklisted from multiple startups. No one wants to work with a known IP thief. So, yeah, he stole my idea, tried to screw me, thought he could outmaneuver a junior dev with no power, and I ended up owning the app, the company, the money, and the legacy. Revenge is best served scalable.